The night a dying girl gave Johnny Carson her mother's last gift. When 6-year-old Emily's final wish changed the king of late night forever. For the Carson stories, Johnny Carson was in the middle of telling a joke when his producer appeared at the edge of the stage with an expression Johnny had never seen before. Backstage, a 6-year-old girl named Emily Rodriguez was sitting in a wheelchair holding something against her chest like it was the most precious thing in the world. The doctors had given Emily 4 months to live. Her heart was failing and there was nothing anyone could do. She'd used her dying wish not to go to Disney World, not to meet a princess, but to give Johnny Carson something that belonged to her mother. The producers thought it would be sweet. 30 seconds, maybe a minute. A dying child meets her hero. Good television. But when Emily was wheeled onto that stage and looked up at Johnny with eyes that held more grief than any 6-year-old should carry, when she held out that worn photograph and said 7 words in her small, trembling voice, Johnny Carson's world stopped. What happened in the next 20 minutes would become the most emotional moment in television history. Not because of what Johnny did, but because of what a dying little girl taught him about love, loss, and what really matters when everything else is gone. September 28, 1983, Studio One in Burbank, California. Another Wednesday night taping of The Tonight Show. Johnny was in rare form. The monologue was landing perfectly. The audience was with him on every joke. Ed McMahon's laugh was booming. Doc Severinsen and the band were tight. Everything was running like clockwork. Then Peter LaSalle, the show's producer, stepped out from the wings. He never did that during taping, not unless something was wrong. Johnny caught his eye immediately and knew something was different tonight. The show cut to commercial. Peter crossed the stage quickly. "Johnny," he said quietly, "we have a situation. There's a little girl backstage, Make-A-Wish Foundation. She's..." He paused, struggling. "She's not going to make it much longer. Her grandmother brought her. She wanted to meet you." Johnny's face changed. "How bad?" "Terminal heart condition. The doctors gave her weeks, maybe less. Today might be her last good day." Johnny didn't hesitate. "Bring her out." "You're sure?" "We can do this after the show. Keep it private." "Peter, if a little girl is dying and wants to meet me, we're not making her wait backstage. Bring her out now." Emily Rodriguez was 6 years old and weighed 38 pounds. She'd been born with a congenital heart defect that had required 3 surgeries before she was 4. The 3rd surgery had failed. There was nothing left to try. The cardiologist had been gentle but clear with Emily's grandmother, Rosa. Emily's heart was giving out. Maybe 4 months, maybe less. Make the time count. Emily had one wish, one thing she wanted to do before she died. She wanted to give Johnny Carson her mother's photograph. You see, Emily's mother, Maria, had died 2 years earlier. Breast cancer. She was 28 years old. Emily had been 4. Too young to understand death. Too young to understand that when Mama went to the hospital that last time, she wouldn't be coming home. Rosa, Maria's mother, had raised Emily after that. It was just the 2 of them now. An old woman and a dying child, trying to make sense of a world that had taken too much. Every night, no matter how Emily felt, no matter how much pain she was in, they had a ritual. At 11:30, Rosa would carry Emily to the couch. She'd put in a VHS tape. Not a Disney movie, not cartoons. A recording of The Tonight Show from May 1981. The night Maria had appeared as an audience member, and Johnny had picked her out of the crowd to tell a joke. Maria had been so nervous, so excited. She'd worn her best dress. She'd told her joke, and Johnny had laughed. Really laughed. The audience had applauded. For 30 seconds, Maria Rodriguez had mattered to the world. 3 months later, she was diagnosed. 18 months after that, she was gone. But they had that tape, and Emily watched it every single night. She'd memorized every word, every laugh, every moment her mama was on screen, alive and happy and whole. "Abuela," Emily had said 1 week earlier, her voice weak, "before I go to heaven with Mama, can I give Mr. Carson something?" Rosa had tried not to cry. "What do you want to give him, Mija?" Emily had pulled out a photograph from under her pillow. The only photo she had of her mother smiling. Maria at age 26, laughing at something off camera, her whole face lit up with joy. On the back, in Maria's handwriting, The Tonight Show, May 1981. Best night of my life. I want to give him this, Emily said. So he knows Mama loved him. So he knows he made her happy. Rosa had called Make-A-Wish the next morning, made the request, never believed it would happen. Then the call came. September 28th, one slot. Could they make it to Burbank? Rosa had said yes before she could even think about how to get there. The commercial break ended. Johnny looked at the audience with an expression they didn't quite recognize. Serious, present. Folks, he said quietly, we're going to do something different right now. We have a very special young lady joining us tonight. The stage door opened. Rosa pushed Emily's wheelchair onto the stage. The audience's collective breath caught. This wasn't a celebrity. This was a tiny girl in a wheelchair, thin and pale, wearing a pink dress that was too big for her. She was holding something carefully against her chest. Johnny walked over immediately, no hesitation. He knelt down beside the wheelchair, eye level with Emily. His knees cracked audibly. He smiled that genuine smile. Hi there, sweetheart. What's your name? Emily's voice was so quiet the microphones barely caught it. Emily Rodriguez. I'm 6. I live with my abuela in Los Angeles. Los Angeles? That's not far at all. I'm really glad you came to see me tonight, Emily. He gestured to Rosa, who was standing behind the wheelchair, already crying. Is this your grandmother? Sí. I mean, yes. That's my abuela Rosa. She takes care of me because my mama's in heaven. The audience went absolutely silent. 25 million people watching at home went absolutely silent. Johnny's smile stayed, but his eyes changed. Something in them softened and broke at the same time. I'm so sorry about your mama, Emily. It's okay, Mr. Carson. She's with Jesus now, and she's not sick anymore. Abuela says heaven doesn't have sickness. Johnny had to pause before he could speak. Your abuela is very smart. I bet your mama was wonderful. She was the best mama in the whole world. Emily's eyes filled with tears, but she didn't cry, like she was trying to be brave. She loved you, Mr. Carson. She loved your show. We have a tape of her. She told a joke and you laughed. Johnny's expression shifted. She was on the show? Not like a guest. She was in the audience. It was May 1981. She wore her blue dress. You picked her to tell a joke and she did, and you laughed and she was so happy. Emily's voice was shaking now. It was the best night of her life. She said so. The audience was frozen. Some people had their hands over their mouths. What was the joke? Johnny asked gently. Emily's face lit up. What do you call a bear with no teeth? Johnny smiled. I don't know. What do you call a bear with no teeth? A gummy bear, Emily giggled. Actually giggled. And Johnny laughed. Not a polite laugh, a real one. That's a good joke. Your mama had good taste in comedy. She loved to laugh, Emily said. Even when she was sick, she tried to laugh. We watched your show every night in the hospital. It made her feel better. Johnny couldn't speak for a moment. He just looked at this tiny girl who was telling him about her mother's last days with such courage, it broke his heart. Emily, he said finally, I'm honored that my show made your mama happy. I have something for you, Emily said. She held out the photograph. Her small hands were shaking. This is my mama. It's from that night, May 1981, when she told the joke. It's the only picture I have of her smiling like this. I want you to have it. Johnny took the photograph very carefully. He turned it over and read the inscription. The Tonight Show, May 1981. Best night of my life. When he looked at the photo and saw Maria's face, saw that pure joy, saw a young mother who had no idea what was coming, who had 4 more years with her daughter, who loved Johnny Carson's show enough that it became the best night of her life, something inside Johnny Carson shattered. His eyes filled with tears. His hands holding the photograph began to shake. Emily, he said, and his voice broke completely. This is the most beautiful gift anyone has ever given me. I wanted you to know, Emily said, her own voice trembling now, that you made my mama happy. Even when she was dying, watching you made her happy. And now I watch the tape every night because when I see her on the screen, she's not sick. She's just happy, and that's how I want to remember her. The dam broke. Johnny Carson pulled Emily into the gentlest hug, careful because she was so fragile, and wept. Not delicate tears, deep, wrenching sobs. The kind that come from a place beyond performing. The audience didn't know what to do. Most of them were crying. Ed McMahon had tears streaming down his face. The camera operators were crying. Doc Severinsen was wiping his eyes. 25 million Americans were watching something they'd never seen. Johnny Carson, completely undone by a 6-year-old girl's love for her mother. Johnny pulled back just enough to look at Emily. His face was wet. "You know what I'm going to do with this photograph?" "What?" Emily asked. "I'm going to put it in my dressing room, right next to my mirror. So before every show, I can see your mama's face and remember why I do this. I do it to make people happy. People like your mama. People like you." Emily reached out her small hand and wiped a tear from Johnny's face. "Don't be sad, Mr. Carson. Mama's not sad anymore. She's happy in heaven, and she can see us right now, and she's probably so excited that I met you." That did it. Johnny completely lost it again. This 6-year-old child was comforting him. This dying little girl was telling him not to be sad. "Emily," Johnny said, his voice rough, "can I ask you something?" "Okay. What do you like to do? What makes you happy?" Emily thought for a moment. "I like to color, and I like when Abuela reads me stories, and I like watching the tape of Mama on your show because for 30 seconds she's not gone." The question everyone knew was coming hung in the air unasked. "What do you want to be when you grow up?" But Johnny couldn't ask it, because Emily wasn't going to grow up. So instead he asked, "If you could do anything right now, anything at all, what would it be?" Emily's face became very serious. "I want my mama back, but I know that's not possible. So I want her to know I was brave. I want her to know I gave you her picture. I want her to know I finished her story." Johnny looked at this child, this impossibly brave child, and made a decision. He stood up and addressed the audience. "Ladies and gentlemen, Emily Rodriguez, the bravest person I've ever met." The audience gave Emily a standing ovation. Not polite applause, real applause. The kind you give when you've just witnessed something sacred. The show went to commercial. Johnny did something he'd never done before. He had the producers clear the stage. Everyone out except Emily, Rosa, and himself. Johnny sat down on the floor next to Emily's wheelchair. Just the three of them on that famous Tonight Show stage. "Emily," Johnny said, "I want to give you something too." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out his pocket square. A silk handkerchief he'd worn on every show for 10 years. "This isn't as important as what you gave me, but I want you to have it. And whenever you miss your mama, I want you to hold this and know that she's proud of you. Know that you finished her story. Know that you're the bravest little girl I've ever met." Emily took the silk handkerchief with reverence. "Thank you, Mr. Carson." Johnny looked at Rosa. "Ma'am, your granddaughter taught me something tonight. She taught me that love doesn't end. Your daughter's love for my show, your granddaughter's love for her mother, it doesn't end. It just changes shape." Rosa was sobbing. "Thank you for seeing her, for seeing both of them." "I'll never forget them," Johnny said, and he meant it. Johnny wrote something on a piece of paper, his personal phone number. He handed it to Rosa. "You call me if you need anything. If Emily needs anything. If you just need to talk, I mean it." Emily died on November 3rd, 1983, 5 weeks after that Tonight Show appearance. 5 weeks the doctors said she might not get, but they weren't ordinary weeks. Johnny called Emily every week, sometimes twice. They talk about her mama, about the tape she watched every night, about colors and stories and what heaven might be like. When Emily was too sick to talk, Johnny would stay on the line while Rosa held the phone to Emily's ear, and Johnny would just talk, tell her jokes, tell her stories, make her laugh when she could still laugh. Johnny paid for Emily's medical care those last weeks, made sure she wasn't in pain, made sure Rosa had help, and he did something else, something nobody knew about until after he died. He found the May 1981 episode, found the footage of Maria Rodriguez in the audience, had it professionally transferred and edited, just the 30 seconds of Maria telling her joke and laughing. He sent it to Rosa with a note. "So Emily can always see her mama happy. So you can always remember she was here. Love, Johnny." After Emily died, Rosa sent Johnny a letter. He kept it in his wallet for the rest of his life. Dear Mr. Carson, Emily passed this morning. She was holding your silk handkerchief. Her last words were, "Tell Mr. Carson, thank you for loving Mama. You gave my granddaughter 5 extra weeks. You gave her dignity. You gave her purpose. You let her finish her mother's story. Thank you for seeing my girls. Forever grateful, Rosa Rodriguez." Johnny never talked about Emily publicly. When asked about emotional moments on the show, he'd deflect, change subjects, make jokes. But people close to him said Emily changed something fundamental. After that night, Johnny started a private foundation. Nobody knew about it until after he died. It funded pediatric cardiac research. Millions of dollars, all anonymous. Ed McMahon once said, "After Emily, Johnny understood something. Fame means nothing if you don't use it to love people who need it most." On Johnny's final episode in 1992, someone in the audience held up a photograph. Maria Rodriguez's photograph, the one Emily had given him. Johnny saw it. He touched his pocket where his handkerchief used to be. After the show, a reporter asked what the photo meant. Johnny smiled that genuine smile. "It means the most important people in the world aren't famous. They're just important to someone. And that's all that matters." Here's what people don't understand about September 28, 1983. It wasn't special because Johnny Carson cried on television. It was special because a 6-year-old girl reminded him that love is the only thing that survives us. Maria Rodriguez lived 28 years. She told one joke on a talk show and died 3 months later. But her daughter remembered. And her daughter made sure the man who'd made her mama happy knew it mattered. Emily lived 6 years. She gave her mother's photograph to Johnny Carson and died 5 weeks later. But Johnny remembered. And Johnny made sure the world knew these 2 ordinary women mattered more than all his famous guests combined. One girl, one photograph, one reminder that we're all just trying to love someone before we're gone. The question Emily answered that night wasn't, "Do I matter?" The question was, "Did my mama matter?" And Johnny Carson, with tears streaming down his face, answered, "Yes, your mama mattered. You matter. Every moment of love matters. Every laugh matters. Every person who makes someone else smile matters more than anything." Emily reminded us of that. Johnny made sure we'd never forget. If this story moved you, share it with someone you love. Tell them they matter while you still can. Drop a comment about someone who made you smile when you needed it most. Because sometimes the most important people aren't the ones on stage. They're the ones who loved us. They're the ones who remember. They're the ones who finish the story. This is the Carson stories, where the untold moments are the ones that matter most. Disclaimer. This story is a dramatized narrative inspired by The Tonight Show's legacy of creating genuine emotional moments and the universal themes of love, loss, and memory. While Johnny Carson was a real person who hosted The Tonight Show, Emily Rodriguez, Maria Rodriguez, and this specific incident are fictionalized for storytelling purposes to honor the real experiences of families dealing with terminal illness and the power of human connection that made The Tonight Show legendary.